Welcome back, everybody. I've missed you all. Quick little open box today from PCGS. A little bulk order. Just going to warn you, these notes are just notes. This is what happens when you just have a lot of different stuff sitting around and you don't exactly know what to do with it. Like the end of collections or, a little bit of a hodgepodge order is probably the best way to describe it. Get this opened up here. Hopefully everybody at PMG fared well with the hurricane, and hopefully all the watchers also fared well with the hurricane. It's weather is tough to predict. So there's definitely a good mix of different notes in here. Some of them I'll try to explain the best that I can with the resources that my brain has. So starting out, this would be a 10 baht from Government of Thailand. It's just a little bit better issue note. Then we have the Hungarian 2 forint. The Ministry of Finance. This is actually a uncirculated remainder. Here's another one. This one's an AU58. This one's the 5 forint. A lot of times these end up being damaged because they're so much larger. 28B Star Note, Cleveland, VF20. 28B New York and VF30, light green seal, a little bit better variety. 1928 numerical seal Chicago 50, XF40, little. This is the more affordable grade, I should say. 28A St. Louis, dark green seal, and 58Q. 34D, which is an incredibly tough series to collect. This one is in 45 PPQ, so it's very affordable. Looks like we made a $50 Republic of Texas and 40 details. Looks like it's been severed and reattached. A lot of them are. That was part of the way they did the cancellation. From my understandings, they would write and then put numbers on them. One half would go to Pennsylvania and the other half would go to Louisiana, and that was how they counted against the books. Later on, when the hoards were discovered, they were putting them back together by these numbers and putting a small piece of, like a hinge on the back to keep them together. And here you can see that it was canceled 1840. Funded and canceled. Republic of Texas 5. It is cross-cut canceled on the bottom. Doesn't distract from the note. Still has nice eye appeal. A lot of times the cancellations are missing. They hang on by just a mere fragment of paper down in the bottom corner. 1861 T18 and 62. Tough note. Nice bright white paper, not toned at all. VF35 Black Eagle. Really has the eye appeal of that of a higher grade. Very nice note. Another 1899 Eagle. This one's in VF35 also. Are they sequential? That's the real question. They might be. They kind of have the same look. Nope, they are not sequential. Then 28 plain. So FR 1600 and 65. Really nice back centering on that note. 1928 $10 gold cert and 20 PPQ. So that's kind of neat. 34 silver certificate, 64Q. Funny back. Malden, Massachusetts Type 2 20 ppq. Then we have the Chicago 100 numerical star note VF20. Does have one pinhole right there. That does not strike a comment on the note. Normally notes would need excess of 3 or more pinholes before grading companies will list pinholes. 34 Chicago and XF40, just a nice original. This is not a mule. We have here same note but in 35Q. They're not sequential either. Just nice, affordable collector grades if you're trying to put together a 34 typeset, which is a thing. I've actually had a lot of people come to me and they said that they've liked assembling typesets for 1934. So they do all the silver certificates, they do all the Federal Reserve notes, and they just put nice typesets together, which is neat. It's a great way to learn the notes and learn the history, and you also get to see the variants in the paper and the plate designs. Another 34 Chicago. This one's 58Q. Another 34 Chicago, 58Q. I think these are sequential. Nope, they're not. 34A. Nope, just a 34. This is a San Francisco, 55Q. Some people just collect districts. So people assemble district sets of the denominations, so $5 all the way up through 1,000, and then they'll just do San Francisco, Denver, etc. Denver, listen to me. I'm a paper guy, and I'm quoting coins, not Denver. Cleveland is D. Boy, slacking. Put those back in the box. I'm allowed to misspeak, I think. Just got done buying a really large collection of small size silver certificates. There was a couple other better type notes in the deal as well. I think they had the collection had a web star note in it, which that's just not a. I think that might be like the third one I've had in about 6 or 7 years. So web stars, they're not very abundant. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, in 1988A, the United States BEP decided to do a experimental test with a different printing process, and they labeled it the web printing press. So 237 and 65Q, just a nice note. Man, look, the colors on it was like it was printed yesterday. Very pretty. Dillonvale, Ohio, Short Creek Mercantile Script, good 6, 25-cent piece. That's a pretty cool piece of script. Wellsville, Ohio, the Savings Bank. Choice Unk 64 and hole punch canceled. Really nice piece. Advertising note for the Kindle Company National Tour. VF30, the Kindle Company, A Fool and His Money. These are some of my favorite notes. These are the notes that never were saved. When we have a bogus back 1862 T40, this will probably be the first time we've ever featured a bogus back. There's a lot of people that believe that these bogus backs were printed after the war happened, and I'm a firm believer these were printed during the war, and I have a few reasons why I feel that way. Mostly because you see them on contemporary counterfeits, and a lot of contemporary counterfeits circulated during the war. I can't foresee someone putting a bogus back on the note and then trying to circulate the note after the war, because the note would have been devalued. This is a military endorsement of Watkins Wickham, Captain and AQM. And AQM stands for Assistant Quartermaster. So there's the military endorsement there. This is the note they commonly refer to as a hoer note because it has some gentlemen hoeing cotton out in the field. Next up we have Gosport, Indiana, which is the state of with the red overprint, 25 details. It was severed and reattached with some tape repairs, unfortunately. Then we have Manassas Gap, Virginia, 1861, 10 cent. Does have a couple small repairs, but it served its purpose and now it's here to live again. Another Manassas Gap, Virginia, with an assistant treasurer's signature, Daniel Morgan. VF20. Here's another Manassas Gap, VG10, State of Virginia. This is all during the Civil War. So we're quite fortunate these survived and weren't burned or used as fire starter. Or another Manassas Gap, Virginia, VF20. Moving on, 34D wide, 55Q. Just a nice note. 34A Mule, Atlanta, 55Q. 34A Mule, Cleveland, VF30. Richmond Mule in VF30. Just a nice circulated piece. Does have a couple little ink marks on it, but nothing distracting. 28D 64Q. That's a good note. Really well centered on the back plate. 35A North Africa 2306 and 64. Another 34B Atlanta. This one is an XF40. It is a smidge toned, but it's not bad. It still has great eye appeal. 34B Atlanta in 58. 34B Dallas. I believe this is the first one I've ever had. Very, very tough note. 34B Dallas. Here's another one. So I have two of them in stock, but 34B Dallas. This is going to be the showstopper probably for this series. They just aren't available. 34C Chicago and AU50. Again, it's another tough series and just a slightly better collectible grade. 34C Chicago, 55Q. 34C Chicago and 58Q. A lot of these just have one wallet centerfolds, so I know they're hard to see, but they're not hard folds. They're most likely just bins. And the bins will get you a 58Q. Here's a great note. 34 Silver Shirt Star Note and 25Q. That'll sell super quick. Funny back. Excuse me. 237. This would be the horse blanket. This one's in 64Q. Probably could have seen this one go either way, but it kind of leans more 65 to me. But 64, definitely a 64 plus. FR57, so 1917-2 and XF40. It's a good note. 1922 gold certificate and VF25. Another gold certificate. This one's a fine 15, but it's just an honest circ. No wear or tear, just honest circulation. 28A, the second key to the whole series in VF30. 34A Star Note, 1651. It's a good looking star. Crispy looking. Good color. Color is so bright it shines through. We have a 34D Narrow star in VF25. Super Tough FR226. So this is the date above the serial number. Problem free VF20. That one probably won't last a day on eBay. Everybody needs a 226, it seems like. 230 and VF25 is this really nice VF25. Can't go wrong with that one. 236 and VF20. Just a circ note. No problem. Problem free. Here's another 236 VF20. Problem free. And another 236 VF20. Just nice eye-appealing circulated notes. Sometimes it's not about how high a grade you want to collect. Sometimes it's just about putting notes together that all have the same eye appeal level and are consistent. It's amazing these were saved at all. 53B, a little bit tougher series. This one's in 63Q. This is conducive of the 1950s printings, long left margins. This most likely was the sheet edge. Then we have a CT65. This is a Havana counterfeit. VF30. You can tell something just isn't right about the note when you look at it. The color, very collectible. People still put these into their Confederate collections as a type for comparison. T69 and 63Q, serial number 629. It's pretty awesome. Lower serial number, pin signed. Then we have another T69, but this one's an AU58. T63 and 64. And then a 35G No Motto and 66Q. We'll see. Yeah, it's definitely a 66. Just really nice centering. So that's pretty. That one's pretty cut and dry. A lot of times you see notes that have that long margin on it, like that 53B I was showing you. A lot of times people want to call those error notes. And there's a few things to distinguish on that type of a note before you could classify it as an error. And some of it has to do with the offset of the face printing and or the third printing. So you have to have some things that jive on the note in order for it to be classified as an error. A lot of folks will call those miscut errors, or you'll read a lot of it on eBay, Facebook, some of the other places. But what happens is they get this long margin over here and they call it a cutting error or a miscut error. What happens is you have to look at the entire face of the note and see where the other printings line up, and if they're obscured, because this red printing is an overprint. So you have your back plate first, face plate, then serial numbers, etc. So a lot of times in order for that to be an error, you have to start looking at all the factors on how that sheet was fed. So you have to do your homework, otherwise you can get caught up in buying something that's not really an error. Just a nice, honest VF25. This is on a 59 mule, so mules are a little bit tougher on the 17 series. FR90, wood chopper and VF25. FR91, but this one has the public engraving error. This one's in VF20. Very large Haitian note. 5 pastries. Good looking note. Very bright orange. I mean, I'm just taken back by that. It does have a little bit of foxing through this portion of the note, but that's not taking it. It's not distracting from it. The pink overprint and the green is still pretty vibrant. It hasn't completely eaten the note up. Let's see, Louisiana, $100 remainder. $100. A lot of people love the artwork on the back of these. So here I was telling you about this long left margin. See how the seal isn't perfectly centered? In order for this to be a somewhat of a marginal error, this blue printing, this serial number, and the seal and these serial numbers would have to be obscured outside of the BEP spec for the note. Then it can be classified as an error. And then you have to determine, is it a overprint alignment, or is it a sheet alignment, or is it a cutting? So you'll see some of these lefts, rights, tops, and bottoms get awfully out there. But you really have to do your research to make sure it's an error. FR 879, this one is graded VF25. Just a circ note. 846, which is Boston, Burke Houston. 871B, a little bit tougher variety, those Bs. You can see the plate variety here and here, where my fingers are at. It takes a while to get used to finding them, but you can see by looking at this note the difference between here and here. And then on this side, it's just positioning. That's all it is. That's all you're looking for. 1914 St. Louis and VF30. Very popular note. There's two pinholes, one in the portrait and one off to the left of the portrait. Not enough to comment. Like I said, usually it takes at least 3 pinholes before it triggers the grader to go, hey, there's something wrong here. Really nice looking 934 and XF45. Super, super fresh note. Vignettes spot on. 979A. This one's in Choice Fine 15. Again, this is another super tough. Not a tough note. It's a tough series for problem-free notes. It's something we've noticed as dealers. 20s were just absolute workhorses. So a lot of the times they're pretty much wore out, or they just have itty-bitty little issues. Another VF25. It's the only vignette you're going to see a train, a car, a tugboat, and an airplane, and an ocean liner. So you have all types of transportation on this note. So in 1914, the only thing this thing's missing is a Harley Davidson. They could have put that right through the middle. Motorcycle. Another Chicago 20. Sometimes it's not always about the grade of the note either. Sometimes it's just obtaining an example that catches your eye, that fills in that void for your collection. $1011A, San Francisco 20. I've actually had a 1011 star, I believe. VF25, really nice looking portrait for a 25. Excuse me. 1953A, silver cert, EA block, 64Q. Back centering is on point. Good entry-level notes. These are a great way to get kids and family members and relatives collecting notes. They're inexpensive. It's a great way to get a note that's survived the test of time and to be able to tell the next generation about it. I have 3 boys right now, and they actually like to collect notes that have numbers that correlate to special events in their lives, and they also like to collect fractional currency. Another 53 BA block. Must be a little run of them here. That's what I'm noticing. And a 53 silver and 53 Q. Here's one in 63 Q. 62. So it's an awfully handily note. You can see some of the handling up through here, down through the corner margin. It does have a comment, minor edge tear. Let's see if we can find that. It's right here. So, just a handily note. Here's one in 40Q, 53Q, 53Q, 53A, and 55Q. Ooh, that T18 was a crossover. Went from 62Q to 62 no Q, so bummer. Anyways, with that being that, I showed you everything that came back from grading. I appreciate all the comments on the last video. Hopefully I answered everyone correctly. The last 2 weeks have just been absolutely crazy for sales and buying. We've bought so much in the last month, especially small size, better type small size. There was a FR 1500 star note that just came back from grading. It graded AU 58, so that's an $18,000 note. And there was a couple other bigger notes that just came back, and then you're gonna start seeing some more of those submissions coming back from PCGS, potentially PMG. Still trying to fight the good fight with them about getting some stuff graded. And a lot of it has to do with time frame, guys. It costs a lot of money to tie up notes, and then if these notes are gone for 3 to 5 months, it's excessive. So that money that's tied up is not turning quick enough, and that's not conducive to our bottom line. So I have to think about, this is a business, not my collection. My personal collection is a little bit different than the things that I show you. So I hope all is well in the world, and thanks again for stopping by and wrapping up another D's Notes session. Like, subscribe, share. Word of mouth does wonders, so hope you're all doing well. Hope everybody's safe. Prayers go out to North Carolina and Florida, to those tragedies from the hurricane, and hopefully as people we come together and we can rebuild those areas and get on with our lives. So with that, I bid you adieu. Peace. Bye.